A New York Jets insider has revealed that multiple deals are incoming for the New York Jets as Darren Mougey's plans have been revealed in regards to re-signing Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and multiple other players who will have huge impacts on the New York Jets down the line, who have already been impactful players, and now it really sets in stone what the New York Jets future is going to look like in a lot of ways. And this is very, very important on the Jets, as it's going to have just an absolutely huge impact on what the team looks like going forwards next season and many seasons beyond. Let's break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jets Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. And guys, if you are part of that 73% that's not subscribed to Jets Digest, this is a place to be for all New York Jets content. We're closing in on that 5,000 subscriber mark. Let's get there. Let's push hard. You guys have been killing it with the subs recently. We appreciate it so much, guys. Thank you. But you guys aren't here to talk about this. Let's talk about the New York Jets. We got a lot to go over because, well, Darren Mougey's plans have been revealed as New York Jets insider Connor Hughes has broken down the future of the New York Jets and what everything looks like for this team in regards to some of their key young players. Now, funny enough, most of the Jets' best key young players all came in the same draft. Shout out Joe Douglas for absolutely cooking in this one. Between Sauce Gardner being picked 4th overall, Garrett Wilson at 9, later getting Jermaine Johnson in the 1st round, and then also landing Breece Hall in the 2nd round. That stretch of 4 picks was absolutely phenomenal by the New York Jets front office, and since then, we have not seen as much of a successful draft by anyone within the Jets organization. But up to this point, what we're seeing is that Darren Mougey, though he didn't draft these guys, you know he wants to re-sign them because, I mean, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson they're the 2 best players on the Jets, or very likely the 2 best players on the Jets, along with guys like Quinnen Williams and Jermaine Johnson. And, well, it is super important, obviously, that they retain these young guys who want to be part of the New York Jets. Both Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner have been super outspoken about wanting to stick around with the Jets for the long-term future as the Jets try to instill a new culture behind Darren Mougey and Aaron Glenn in order to build this team up. And they have the young core to do it. It's just getting that quarterback and a few pieces around that quarterback. It's not much. It's getting more receiving help, which you already have the hardest part down in a wide receiver 1 in Garrett Wilson. You need more tight end help, and the Jets might draft Tyler Warren, so that could solve that problem real quick. On top of that, you could use a right tackle, or you couldn't use a right tackle. You need a right tackle. The Jets might draft Armand Membo in that situation. Well, they solved that real quick, and then would still need a tight end, obviously. Just did a video on that. Make sure to check that one out. It's the last video posted on the channel before this one. Outside of that, there are a few other positions of need. They could use a bit of an upgrade at the pass rush still. But for the most part, they have their core made. They just need to find that franchise quarterback, which, well, is the hardest thing to do in football. However, Hughes broke all of it down in regards to the 2022 extensions, saying there's no rush in paying all of them at this moment, though receiver Garrett Wilson and corner Sauce Gardner are the 2 that should receive early extensions. Those talks haven't taken place yet, but Connor Hughes expects them to soon. Now, it's important that Darren Mougey gets this done, as we've already seen he was kind of lacking on this. The New York Jets decided to not pay Sauce Gardner yet, and now with the Derek Stingley contract, Sauce's money went up. He's going to be the highest paid cornerback in the NFL. That was always the case, but since Derek Stingley got that deal for $30 million per year, now we're going to be seeing Sauce getting paid at least $31 per year, as Sauce wants to be the highest paid defensive back of all time, and the way that his career is progressing, he does deserve that accolade on his resume. I mean, you look at Sauce Gardner, he's been one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. He was the best cornerback the first 2 years he was in the NFL. Had a bit of a down year this year, was playing on an injury for a bit and also missed a bit of time due to an injury. The numbers across the board were worse than usual. However, Sauce Gardner, no one's seeing this as what he is. This is seen as an outlier year that was hindered by injuries, and also a head coach being fired didn't help anything at all, and then the Jets defense falling apart because Jeff Ulbrich wasn't the defensive coordinator anymore, which kind of let their defense just kind of go astray, and things got pretty bad really, really quickly for the entirety of the Jets defense, who almost all of them, with the exception of a few guys like Jermaine Johnson and Quinnen Williams, did have sort of down years. Quinnen Williams included did not have his best year, so this was more of a universal thing for the Jets than what we're seeing, so it's not something that I'm really concerned about at all. Sauce Gardner is going to be the highest paid cornerback in the NFL, and, well, he deserves it. On top of that, you look at Garrett Wilson, who has been, or this is Breece Hall, excuse me. You look at Breece Hall, who's understandably been great as well. We will talk a bit more about Breece Hall later. When you look at Garrett Wilson, there it is. He's obviously just been a wide receiver one. He's been a wide receiver one since his first year in the NFL. Even with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball, he was still having a phenomenal year, having 1,103 yards and 1,104 this year, and 1,042 in the 2023 season. Garrett Wilson has been very, very consistent, and he just had his best year in the NFL, getting over 100 receptions and also scoring 7 touchdowns, doubling the amount of touchdowns he has over his career with just last year. He was phenomenal in every single way. Most first downs in a season. This was by far his best season, as Garrett Wilson is continually getting better and better. Now he has a quarterback who he knows well in Justin Fields, who he trusts, which has helped Wilson want to stay around, especially because he didn't get along with Aaron Rodgers very well. So Garrett Wilson is sticking around the Jets, and he's going to have to get paid soon as well. Obviously, Sauce and Garrett are the first 2 guys to be on the list of getting paid by Darren Mougey, and I don't want Mougey to wait because Sauce, I mean, the money's not really going to go up anymore. We've seen the top of the mountain. We know where it's going to be, so now it's a bit less of a push, but still, they should get it done anyway. On top of that, you look at Garrett Wilson, and, well, his money probably is going to stick around the same anyway. It's going to be somewhere around the $30 million range as well per year. He's not going to get the Jamar Chase money, so we don't have to think about that. He's not going to be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL or anything, but he will be up there. He'll be in that upper echelon, that top 5, top 6 guys to get paid that $30 million. So it'll be interesting to see what the contract leads to be, because Garrett Wilson's is a bit more up in the air than Sauce Gardner's. Hughes also mentioned that the Jets plan to get through the free agency and a chunk of their draft prep, then get talking to the 2's representatives in Gardner and Wilson. And as Hughes says, in my opinion, Gardner is the easier negotiation. He'll become the new highest paid cornerback. Wilson is a bit more of a challenge because the Jets and Wilson need to come to an agreement on where they view him amongst the receiver hierarchy and where Garrett Wilson views himself. So it will be very interesting to see what happens there. On top of that, Hughes also mentions that Breece Hall and Jermaine Johnson will likely play out this season. The Jets can then reassess. The team still has Johnson's 5th year they could pick up. The franchise tag is in play with Breece Hall. They likely need to see a little bit more before they commit to either long term. Hall hasn't yet run for 1,000 yards in his season. Last year, something just looked off. It doesn't make sense to pay him yet. Johnson is coming off a major injury. You need to see how he responds from that Achilles. I honestly agree with both of these things for a few reasons now, and we're going to jump right into these reasons. You look at Jermaine Johnson first, because it's a bit more of a simpler case here. Jermaine Johnson is great. He was great before the injury. Absolutely phenomenal player. Made the Pro Bowl. Goes down with a torn Achilles 6 quarters into the NFL season. He's going to be back. He's already said that he's going to be back soon. He's going to be ready to fully go soon, which is good. He's going to be ready for training camp. He's going to be ready for the preseason. He's going to be ready for the regular season. But it still matters on how he responds. How will his body respond? He's a big guy who needs that burst coming off a torn Achilles. It's important to see how Jermaine Johnson is able to come back from this injury. And I do think that is going to have a big, big impact on what the Jets decide to do. Now, overall, I do believe in Jermaine Johnson coming back well, considering how young he is. I do think he'll be able to bounce back and be the same player, but it's a matter of 1, staying healthy, and 2, being productive as one of the key pass rushers on this team. Now, having Will McDonald having that breakout year was super, super helpful, because now teams are going to be more locked in on Will McDonald than Jermaine Johnson, so Jermaine Johnson should have a bit of an easier time to get reacclimated. However, still, teams have not forgotten that he is a Pro Bowl edge rusher anyway, so it is important to note that at the end of the day, Jermaine Johnson still is going to have some tough competition, and he's going to have to prove something, because edge rushers get paid a lot of money if they're at their best, and we're going to have to see what Jermaine Johnson looks like. So it all depends on his torn Achilles. Meanwhile, Breece Hall is a much different story. Yeah, last year did look off, and again, last year was the weirdest season I've ever seen for the New York Jets. I think a lot of us agree it was the most disappointing season, the worst season to ever watch, and most of all, just straight up strange. Everything about that season was weird. It was a circus in every way, and Breece Hall definitely suffered from that situation. Now, Hall, he has not rushed for 1,000 yards in a season yet, which does make things complicated. He came close in 2023, which was his best year in the NFL. He was great as a rookie. Unfortunately, went down with the torn ACL. Kind of took it slow rolled the first few weeks, but bounced back pretty well with the New York Jets the next year. And then last year, just not as good as everyone hoped for Breece Hall. Now, Breece can still easily bounce back and be one of the best running backs in the NFL. He was supposed to be one of the best this year. I mean, if you play fantasy football, you remember last year Breece Hall was, I think, ranked 2nd or 3rd throughout the entire draft because the bounce back that he was expected to have and just the complete breakout season that he was yet to have. Now he's got money on the line, so it becomes very interesting what's going to happen with Breece Hall. And the New York Jets having Braylon Allen is a good card for them to play in their back pocket, saying, well, you can either agree to this or you could walk, and we'll move forward with Braylon Allen and find another running back to play, because running backs are a very replaceable position. Now, the best in the NFL do make huge impacts. The Christian McCaffreys, the Saquon Barkleys of the world, they obviously make huge impacts. The question is, how close can Breece Hall get to making that type of an impact? Is he going to be able to make that type of an impact where he's going to be a guy who the Jets say, nope, we cannot afford to lose him. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's a huge difference maker for this team, and we cannot lose him or we will get much worse, and our team will not be happy about it. The same thing that happened with Saquon Barkley. Obviously, we saw the 49ers take a massive jump all those years ago when they traded for Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey's dealing with a ton of injuries. He always has, but it feels like this could be the final straw that breaks the camel's back, if you will, when it comes to the prime of Christian McCaffrey. Or maybe not, because Christian McCaffrey is just that good. On top of that, Saquon Barkley's obviously the number one running back in the NFL where we stand right now today. And it's a matter of how close can Breece Hall get to that echelon of guys to where the Jets going to be willing to pay him, and we'll see what happens. He's not going to get their type of money, but if he can show something, then the Jets will pay him, or they'll know another team will, and they won't want to lose him. So it all kind of falls on that front with Breece Hall. It's going to be interesting to see. I will say, just because me and Matt haven't done a duo in a little bit ever since we went up to Connecticut together, he punched me in the face. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. He's just been super busy at work recently, so he hasn't been around as much, but he will be back soon. But I would be remiss if I did not tell you that Matt is very anti-paying running backs in a more general sense. Now, this does not apply to the Saquon Barkleys, the Christian McCaffreys of the world, but he's always erring on the side of just replace the running back in the draft, get him on a rookie deal. So I did want to give you guys perspective of the smarter Jets fan of the two of Matt and I. So wanted to let you guys know that as well. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Jets.